I just don't have time. Like it's
okay.
so
Your
like
words.
like everything else.
Yes.
Just don't have time. So all right.
Oh, feel that. Feel the bump.
Yes.
No, you feel the bump there?
A little bit.
Yeah, but it's not as big.
Well, it's because your muscles are all screwed
No,
up.
I think
You,
I popped something
need
out.
you need to take a muscle relaxant.
We don't have any.
Yes, we do.
Do you need to do that real quick?
No, I'm fine.
All right.
I'm gonna suffer through it just to prove I'm wrong.
Have we told you that our relationship is actually
Built on spite.
Absolutely, it's built on spite.
Gotcha. Christy and I are starting marriage counseling, and we met with the woman.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's all video, but we met with the woman, and then Christy had a single conversation with her, and I've had a single conversation with her, and they sent us this survey thing to fill out, and it took like an hour and a half.
Yep.
And some of the stuff like was like, strongly agree, strongly just, like kind of a scale.
Yeah.
And some of them were just simply like yes, no answers. And I was just like, some of these need a little tweaking. Like some of these are pretty, because like I was telling Christy, it was like, does your partner drink? Yes. Does your partner drink, more than once or twice or whatever a week? Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Like, but it's like, how many times do they have a drink? I'm like, I don't know, 4 or 5 times a week. I'm like, but she's not an alcoholic. Like a glass of wine, a single glass of wine a night. Hell, doctors prescribe that. Like,
Yeah.
I'm like, but if I'm being honest, then yes, she has a drink 4 or 5 times a week. But if you just look at it, you're just like, oh, she's an alcoholic.
No, and I think it's if you have more than 10 drinks a week, then you have a drinking problem. Like then you can be considered to have a drinking problem. But if you're having like a glass of wine with dinner, like
Right.
and then that's
And even then, she doesn't even do it. Like, it's not even every night. It's just like, and then she goes on phases. Okay, well, now she's on the mixed drink phase. Oh, no, it's summertime. So, like, her summer beers are out. So she might have one a night. And it's just like, who the hell cares?
No, that's totally fine. And beer's good for you. It's fermented. It's good for your gut.
So,
yeah.
Some of the questions were just like,
like,
the physical abuse or whatever. I'm like, well, if I'm being completely honest, has my wife ever hit me? Yes, but it was being playful, or it was, what I'm saying? Like, but I'm definitely not going to answer yes on it.
Yes.
Yeah.
When it's a yes, no question.
Listen, I've hit her before.
Right. Oh, yes. I absolutely. There's a standing rule in this house. There's a standing rule in this house. Christy will make this face. It's kind of one eye pops out, and like her eye, the specific face she does, and it looks just like her grandmother. And I told her, if you make that face, I'm smacking you on the top of the head like a puppy. And I sure as hell do it every time. But she knows it. Like, she'll give it to me, and I'm just like, I'll start walking towards her. She's like, nope. Like, she'll back away, and then she'll do it again. I'm like, nope, you're getting it. So.
I was shifting in bed one night, and total darkness, couldn't see anything, and didn't realize that she was closer. And next thing you know, I just freaking backhanded her.
I saw stars.
Christy's done that to me.
He clocked me. Oh, I saw stars. This was years ago. This was, I think the kids were babies, but just because he was, moving.
I think it was before babies.
No, our mattress, we had a really shitty mattress, and
it
was uneven, and I was, anyways, it doesn't matter. But the point, that's the only time he's done that by accident. Oh, he felt awful. I don't think he really slept much that night.
I was waiting for her to wake up with a black eye. It was like, oh, my husband hates me.
Oh, God.
All right. This is episode 25.
Wow. All right.
What's up, y'all?
Yeah, we're starting to get there. No, it's hello. Stop. You're screwing me up every time. You know what? I should start an episode that way. Just do it. Then throw the rest of y'all off. So.
Dude, save that for an epically geeky though.
Yeah.
Definitely. Especially if
by the way, that's not gonna happen. Did he text y'all or message y'all or anything?
Is everything okay?
He tried. He was like, all right, I think I'm gonna try to maybe slide back into a little social media. And I asked him, because he texted me and he didn't. I was like, did something else happen? He goes, no. He said, I don't think I can handle it. So he quit everything, like Facebook, Twitter,
Yeah.
Okay.
Everything. I was even like, well, I was playing because I'm playing with the idea where we moved to Discord for the Ghostbuster stuff, and I wanted to kind of see how it was panning out.
Yep.
And I'm thinking if it keeps working pretty well next month or so, I may even suggest, hey, what if we jump to Discord? Because then you could just jump off Facebook completely, pretty much. But I was like, so are you still on Discord? He's not even doing Discord anymore. I'm just like, okay.
Wow. No,
So
I had to do that like 6 years ago now. I just had to stop everything and then slowly work my way back into it. But I wasn't in a very good headspace, so I don't know if that's what he's just discovered that he can't, with the way his brain works, he just can't do social media at all.
Yeah. So I'll be honest though. I mean, how many times has he quit?
Lots.
I love him to death, but every time I'm just like, okay, see you in 6 months, bud.
Yeah, probably, but if that's all he needs, right?
Yeah. So.
Yeah.
That's right.
All right, here we go. Creative Geeky episode 25.
Are you on, Wayne?
Pretty younger.
Hello and welcome to the Creatively Geeky Show. I'm your host for the evening, Eugene Stevens. Tonight I'm joined by my partners in crime and crafting, Ray and Chris. How are y'all doing?
Pretty good.
We're good. Feeling sassy this evening, apparently.
Well, it is someone's 40th birthday.
It is his 40th birthday.
What?
So, well, happy birthday, my friend.
Thank you.
Thanks for doing a show on your birthday.
Hey, it's the way I get to hang out with you. So
heck yeah. Well, let's go ahead and move right on into what we've been working on. Would anyone like to go first?
Me? Why?
Okay, sure. I'll go first.
All right. Well, you only had one thing. I'm hoping you got it done. No, still shaking your head. No, you still didn't get the day to yourself, huh?
No. Oh goodness, you tried. You tried.
I'm trying to remember what happened to that one. You know what? It's not working out. So
you tried. It was like half a day. It was like because it was like down the wire. We were sending a care package to one of our friends.
No, that was last time.
That was last month.
Yeah.
Oh, you didn't. Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, you didn't even bother this month.
Didn't even get a chance to because nope.
Didn't work.
So then, what have you been doing instead of taking a day off?
Well, there's a fun little project of mudding and taping a room, which is fun.
But to be fair, you got super excited about putting the floor in and took a couple of steps.
Excited is a little.
I don't know. You didn't have to start the floor.
Oh, well,
okay, so let's back up real quick. So you did share a picture of flooring going in.
Yeah.
Yes.
Tell me about the flooring.
So we wanted to get the floor as original as possible. So the original floor that's in the kitchen is actually not in great shape, and it's also covered in asbestos tile. So leaving the asbestos tile where it is the safest thing to do.
Public service announcement: when you have asbestos tile or anything solid like that, as long as you don't disturb it and you leave it, it's fine. Yeah. It's when it starts getting disturbed and the dust particles start getting all stirred up, that's when you have a problem.
Yeah. So
that's why we're leaving it. Not
ours is sandwiched between the original floor and a subfloor.
Mm-hmm.
So
it's fine where it is.
It's fine where it is. Yep. So it's going to stay where it is. We're not going to mess with it at all.
No.
So, but we wanted to try and at least get that aesthetic of the original floor in. Mennonites around here are amazing, and they had a really good deal on some tongue and groove pine floor that we bought for a really good price. And we got enough to do the entire kitchen and the pantry. So it is tongue and groove, but it's not tongue and groove in the traditional style that I'm used to, which is tongue and groove all the way around. It's only tongue and groove on the sides. So when you cut it, you have to do a 45 on it, so that when you're overlapping, you don't get like a butt joint. It doesn't doesn't contract and expand and all that stuff. So it'll actually slide over top of each other instead. So, so doing that, and I'm about a third of the way done.
Quarter of the way done.
Yeah, about a quarter of it. Anyway, I'm partially done. I'm done the hardest part.
Yes.
Which is lining it all up to make sure that it actually looks straight.
In a house.
In a house that is not straight. a neighbor and I went down, or he came over, and because I remembered my 3, 4, 5 rules, I remembered all those things, but I couldn't remember how to exactly get it off of the one wall, and so we put a straight line down where the first piece is going to go, and we're looking at it like that doesn't look straight. Because we've all, so I'm like, yeah, it's straight off that wall, but like we need to be straight off this wall, which isn't a straight wall anyway. No. So he's like, well, you know what, the best thing to do is just eye it up. So we eyed it up, and then that's kind of what we went off of. And
it looks good.
Yeah, happy with it. So once it's all installed, then we do the sanding, and then once it's all sanded, we're gonna put an oil finish over top of it, which will be a really as close as possible to the original floor.
So is it gonna look? Okay, first off, when you say sand, are we talking about like a big sander?
Yeah.
Like
we got a rent one.
And so when you oil it, are you looking at a more natural color? Are you looking at more like a honey or?
So what the oil finish does is it tinges it yellow, like a yellow orange, which is what we've got in the living room and dining room. Yep. So that's what we're trying to match. And we also have it in the bathroom that way. So hopefully, and it's red pine, so it will do that.
Some of it will darken and some will, but
we need the oil because in the kitchen, oil and water, so it'll be a little bit hydrophobic. Yep. And the water will just sit on top.
Much better than doing any other finish. So
but it was under budget, which was the biggest part.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yes.
Very good.
So that's what you've been doing. But you're excited.
So that, and then like I said, there was a last little bit of electrical that I had to do in the pantry,
which I screwed up, and he's got to do it again.
A little bit, but that's okay.
I messed it up.
Note when you're getting rid of lead paint, don't let the lead paint and stripper fall onto the plug.
Onto the plug. So, my bad.
So once that's all done, the next thing I have to do in that room in the pantry area is sand down what taping and mudding I've done so far. Put another coat on there, sand it down again, put another coat on further out because you always got to go wider and wider away from the tape. So you blend it in a little bit more, and I've actually learned a lot on this, and I feel more comfortable with taking on the bathroom when we go to
our upstairs bathroom.
Yeah, and I'm happy with trying to repair the plaster rather than trying to replace it by tearing it all down. So,
which is a horrible mess in and of itself.
Yes, it is. Yeah, so that's what I've been doing.
Good deal.
That'll work.
Chris, you want to go next?
Sure.
All right. Let me see here.
I probably only had one thing.
You did only have one thing. Your one thing was strip paint.
I did that. I did that.
Nice. So are you done stripping paint?
No.
But shaking head.
I got the bulk of it. So the last two things I had to do were the window trim and another door trim in the pantry. I'm looking at it right now. I'm looking at it right now as I'm talking to you. But what I have to go in, because we want to take it down to the natural wood, I have to go in and then spot treat it with stripper. So that's my next task, is to spot treat it. But when I was taking off the stripper around the window, gravity was not in my favor, and as I doing the one side and I looked down, I'm like, because the outlet that he had just put in like the week before was sticking out. It wasn't attachable. There's no electricity to it or anything like that.
No, I had it hanging out so that I could mud around it.
Yeah. And then I looked down and there a big clump had fallen on it, and I'm just like, and I tried to shake it off and it wasn't coming off. A little bit came off, and I'm just like, oh God, he's gonna fucking kill me. And he called me later that day. I'm like, I did something, and I'm so sorry. He's like, what did you do? And then
the way she's going on, I'm thinking, oh my God, like I have to redo something massive.
Like something like she spilled a 5-gallon paint jug on all of the flooring or some shit.
That I just put on, or something where it's like, holy shit, I got to cut out all that shit.
But I don't know how to do electrical, so for me, in my head, it was like, oh my God, I just created more work. So I thought
she tells me, I laughed. I was like, honey, it's fine.
It's fine. We'll
that's an easy fix.
Yeah. He was just
cost you $3. $3, I'll put a new plug in. It's fine.
So So I have to spot treat that. We have a door that goes to the mudroom. And what they had done, we'll blame Carl, because why not? We usually blame him for everything in this house. All the doors in this house, all the doors that are here are original, and they're 5-panel doors. They're solid wood. They're 5-panel doors.
Beautiful.
Beautiful, gorgeous, heavy as hell motherfucking doors. So what Carl did was he took out the top 2 panels, he cut them out, put glass in, and then trimmed it out. But whatever wood he trimmed out those glass panels with was some sort of MDF or whatever, and it was already painted white. So when I tried to strip it, this shit takes off lead paint. It did nothing.
Okay, you know what? When was this done?
Probably, I don't know. We don't know.
We're guessing in the 70s or 80s.
80s maybe. Okay. We're not sure.
I
have no idea, because he bought the house in 66. So sometime from 66 to 2015.
They decided to cut out those panels, put some glass in, and trim it out in
whatever it
was, and yeah.
So anyway,
yeah, because when I was doing the flooring, like the shoe molding, just kind of the quarter round, quarter round that I was putting down. It's wood. And then, I was like, I got to a point and I was like, oh shit, how the hell do I get it around this curved area? And they're like, oh, here. And they hand me this shoe molding, and like, it's floppy. And I'm like, what is this? They're like, it's kind of a plastic, but it's not. They're like, it bends, you can put it around curves and stuff. And that's what I was kind of thinking, because like, it's already colored. If you were to chip into it, it's the same color all the way through. So
this is wood. This is a wood product underneath. But the stripper wouldn't touch it. So I'm like, okay, I have another kind of stripper. Maybe that will work on it. No, not really.
We're not sure what this is.
Not sure, but then they've also, at some point, which was a much earlier repair, somebody repaired the side of the door with a completely different kind of wood. So I'm just looking at it, I'm like, there's 3 different kinds of wood on this thing. If we strip it down and even put a finish, it's going to look weird. So we're painting the door. So I have like 18 different samples of the color I want to paint, taped up to see what matches the color we have on the kitchen walls, which is like a red burgundy.
We can agree on one.
We can agree on one, so we're going with that one.
There you go. I'm assuming you're priming first?
Yeah, it's been primed. Okay, it's got 2 coats of this high adhesive primer to lock everything in that's underneath. And we're going to paint it like a butter yellow.
Yep.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because I just didn't want another white thing in the kitchen, because the backsplash is going to be white. The counters are pretty light. The uppers are white. All the trim is white. So I wanted a little pop of color, and I wasn't allowed. So there's this really awesome paint color that I saw on a YouTube episode. Nobody agrees with me in this house how awesome it's colored. It's called Sulking Room Pink. It's a Pharaoh ball color. It's gorgeous. It's like a purpley pink color. I wanted the door that color, and everybody said no.
So when you walk in to our house, the first thing you would see is that door through the kitchen.
I know.
No.
It's beautiful. I got vetoed so hard on this. So it's now.
Listen, you won. The brick is covered up.
For now, I'm going to lose that eventually. I have won this battle. I have not won the war, and I'm aware of that. You have won that war on the brick. You will get your way. You're very good at biding your time.
That's
It'll happen. So, yes, I've been stripping, but I'm done all major stripping. I hopefully will not have to strip anything until I decide to go upstairs and do that, but that will be a long time, because this was so messy and so expensive, and just I'm starting to wonder if it's even worth it at this point, but it is chipping, so I know I have to.
Oh yeah, no, we had to. There's a puddle of the stuff downstairs.
I know. Well, no, that's because then you have to, which I have to do to this, you have to spray this like alkalizing neutralizer shit over top of it 24 to 48 hours after
over the whole wood, so that it'll actually accept anything afterwards. Otherwise it would just keep peeling away whatever you put on it. And
sometimes you have to do it twice, and it's just like, this is super
tedious.
High maintenance,
extremely tedious.
And HGTV and every other show makes it look like it's not this tedious because of it, but it is very tedious. It's very messy. It's just, if you don't have a good audiobook to listen to, I don't know how you'd get through it.
Well, that's the problem with those shows. And I mean, like, there's several YouTubers I listen to that talk about the same thing. And they're just like, you see, okay, yeah, this might have been, okay, that doesn't look like it's not too much of a pain in the butt. But they show it to you once. They don't show it to you the 1,000th time they've had to do the exact same thing. Yeah, that's the problem. So
yes, and all those,
or that they have a team to do it.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah. Or those reels now, the TikTok thing where it's just like, can we skip to the good part? And they're like, do, and there's the song, and you're just like, how long did that take you to do that? Did you do that yourself? How many months? How much did that cost, first of all?
Yep.
And just what kind of hiccups did you hit? What kind of, like what setbacks did you have? No, it's just a before and after, which is nice because it is a visual, that's kind of like a visual dopamine, right? You're like, ooh, that's so pretty. Yeah. But like in reality, that was probably like 6 months and like 20 grand and, threats of divorce later, right? So you don't know.
Or maybe a divorce.
Yeah, maybe. Renovations are hard to live through when you're on the best of terms. If you're already like fractured, good luck.
Yeah, no shit. Geez.
What'd you do? Did you get
all right? So so I had a major setback. I was trying to get a lot more done than I was trying to get done, but so I've been working on my proton pack. That was the thing that I said I was going to work on. Mm-hmm. Tell you what, give me 1 second here. Yeah.
Okay, Eugene's coming back, so now you can edit it to this point, sir.
What did you say?
You'll have to listen back.
Yeah, okay. I'll definitely have to listen back. Okay, so if you're watching the video version, I have my proton pack here. So it has been sanded multiple times. It's primed. There's still some rough spots here and there, but it's fine because I'm in the process of taping it off. There's still some more places I have to tape off. I've like all these little dot things here. I have to tape those off. I have to tape that off. I have to tape these off. But I'm getting close to getting it taped off. And at this point, then I've run some tests to see which version. The proton packs in the movie are supposed to look like they're hammered metal. So that's what I'm going for. And I did test. Like I got some of the that texture paint that you find. Yep. Didn't really show much of a texture at all. I tried truck bed liner. I like it. It's pretty good. It just doesn't quite have enough texture. And then I tried the orange peel. And personally, I think it's a little too much. So I'm trying to find a balance between the two. Like I may do a light pass of the orange peel and let it set and then hit it all with truck bed liner. And then eventually I'll be able to pull off the tape and be able to paint it with the I went with a flat the first time. I'm going with a matte this time, and I've actually got the end filter done, and I like how it's turned out. It's got a good sheen to it. It looks good. Yeah. So that I was looking at it while y'all were talking, just seeing what little texture is on it just from the normal paint. I like how that's turned out. So I'm excited about that. I was hoping to already be to that point. But I had an issue. So last Friday, I was actually last Friday, we were recording an episode of the Geeky show. And my wife is like, hey, I don't think the AC is cooling like it should. So we get to looking, and sure enough, it's not cooling like it should. And I had an event the next day in Austin. So I'm like, well, do you want me to cancel? And she's like, no, go ahead and go. It's not like you can really do anything anyway. So I go and take care of I'm at this event. And we have someone come take a look at our air conditioner, and they're like, okay, well, the coil's super dirty. It needs to be acid washed. We don't do that on the weekends. Okay. So we dealt with an 80 to 82 degree house all weekend. And being in Texas, it was also humid. Was no fun. Went over to Laney's house like some of the day Sunday just to kind of hang out to get out of the house or whatever. Monday rolls around. I get another AC company come in. They acid wash the thing, and they put it back in to get it reinstalled and fired up, and there's a bunch of freon leaks, and the fan outside seizes up. It's dead. It's an 18-year-old system. And they're like, they don't make these anymore. It's going to cost a small fortune just to get the Freon back in it. Then you have to replace these parts. And they're like, honestly, it's probably time. I'm just like, well, great. So had someone come out, look at it Tuesday, give me an estimate. And then Wednesday they came and installed it. So I've only had working AC since about late Friday or late Wednesday afternoon. Yeah. Could I have gone outside and worked? Could I have worked inside? Yeah. But I was so tired. I've been doing inventory at work. I was so tired by the time I got home. I didn't even bother watching anything. I literally, like, we got the boys to bed, and I'm just like, sitting in the recliner, this big fan on me, trying to stay cool, and I'm like, screw it. I'm just gonna go take a shower and go to bed. I just want to go to sleep. So, needless to say, I did not get as much stuff done as I wanted to. That being said, so I am still working on the proton pack. I'm playing with some rewiring ideas though. So I'm in the process. I've bought enough parts that I'm going to, when I can find time, I'm going to basically do another mock-up of the wiring on my proton pack to make sure what's currently there works. But then I've also had the idea that I want to change out a few things. So one of the things I want to change out is, oddly enough, the vent thing here. So on my pack, it's modeled partially off of the video game. So when you fire it for 13 seconds, it does a warning signal. And then when you stop the fire button, it reboots the pack. A light comes on in the filter, and it, I don't want to say shoots out, but it causes smoke to pour out of it. And that's done with a vape pen. Well, the vape pen I have right now is, you're not supposed to put any more than 5 volts to it. The pump that I'm using is also 5 volts. I think it's technically 6, but 5 volts. And it does a decent amount. I've got it set. It does a pretty decent amount, but it does kind of just pour out. And then there's 4 small LEDs that light it up. I'm wanting to change it because I've got not 2 big batteries, that do 5 and 12 volts. I have to keep the what's it called? Vape pen still at 5 volts, but I want to change the pump to a 12 volt. I want to add a 12 volt fan, and I've seen where people have done this. And then I don't know if I have it around here that I could grab it. I don't think I do. It's basically a 12 volt LED bulb like you would put in a car. Mm-hmm. So it's super bright. Yep. And so the idea is, if I can get this wired the way I want to, when I go to do the vent, instead of it kind of turning, kind of seeing white, and it will literally it'll be super bright and it will jet out. Like, it looks like it's just jetting out of this thing. Yeah. That's one of the things I'm wanting to do. I thought while I'm going, I may try the LED that's in the tip of the wand that kind of fluctuates between like blue and purple and red. Yeah. I want to change that out to another one of these super bright LEDs so that whenever it's firing, you can't look at it because it will hopefully be so bright. And then I'm going to give the vibrating motor a second shot and see if I can get it to go whenever I'm firing it. It's funny. One of our Ghostbuster members, used to work for Boston Dynamics. So I'm like, listen, I know you're not going to understand the entire circuit. I just want you to kind of look at this and see if there's anywhere where it's obvious I should be putting in a resistor maybe to help with some issues. The email I sent him was something like, an amateur's attempt at not releasing the blue smoke, which is an engineering joke. I'm sure he got. Yeah. So yeah, that's what I'm kind of been working on. So, and then the last thing that I've done was I have changed up my Etsy store. So, and it's costing me a little bit more money, not much, but the way that I used to list it was I'd be like, all right, 5 matrices. I had enough parts built for 5 matrices. At least I had enough for like maybe 3 gold ones and 2 orange ones. And then if they were all orders for gold ones, well, then I had to go back and reprint some parts. I'm changing the way that, and then it was like the delivery time was up to 4 weeks, and I've changed that up. So now I'm building them, I'm putting them up there, and I'm like, nope, 2 and 2. So once the gold ones sell out, eventually I'll make more gold ones, but there's orange ones up there. So if you really want one, there's one available. But it's already done. So literally the other night, in the heat, I did feel like going ahead and packing up the orange ones. And sure enough, the next day I got an order. So the next day it got in the mail, and I was like, I I like this method. I mean, granted, they're not on my store right now, and I've got to spend this week. That was another thing to do. I could not do any 3D. I mean, I guess I could have, but I wasn't going to do any 3D printing. Last thing I want is, a bunch of metal heads heating up to over 200 degrees Celsius for hours at an end.
Oh, no, thank you.
No.
Yeah, I did not need to do that to my office. So, hoping to get the 3D printers up and running again here, maybe this weekend or something. So, but yeah, that's what I've been working on. So, I was kind of thinking, I didn't really have a topic or anything, but when you were talking about watching like HGTV videos or watching even YouTube videos, and you see these people that, and I understand why they're doing it, but like you said, when they bypass all of the hard part.
Yeah.
I mean, I understand they don't want to, unless they do it like as a time lapse. Now, I will say, like, a lot of times, Adam Savage will do time lapses of him doing stuff. He also says the reason why he does the time lapses is he goes, because they put whatever music over it, and I can actually listen to what I want to listen to when I'm in the shop. But that's one of those things is you watch these shows and it's just like you said, well, even if they're just like, this was 3 weeks worth of work.
Yes.
You're seeing here.
Okay.
Yeah, but not seeing it is a different thing. Yeah.
Yes.
There's a YouTuber that Chris follows. She's from Toronto. I actually like her.
DIY Danny.
Yeah, DIY Danny. Anyway, I really like her because she shows when she fucks up.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then she's like, okay, and here's what I'm going to do to correct it, or I'm going to work with it. Like she did this one table where she routed out part of the table in a spiral to do it, and then she actually went too far through it at one point, and she's like, well, I don't, like, this is a one piece, I can't really fix it. So she went ahead and showed how she went ahead with it and stuff like that. So it was good. It was I like that because best way to learn is by making mistakes, right? Breaking eggs, that's why. Right?
Yep.
So that's it was I like her videos because she does get into that. So.
Yeah, she does, and she's really great. There's another one that I follow. She's from the UK. She lives in Cornwall. Her name is Madeline, and they live in a Georgian cottage. It's like almost 200 years old. So nothing's straight, and everything's wonky. And there's how many people living in there? And they were doing their kitchen. And it wasn't a big reno. What they were doing was adding more storage than anything else. It was just a pretty simple layout, but they needed more storage because she's also a food vlogger, so she needs it because she gets, she needs a proper setup. Anyway, so as they're going along, it's sort of snowballed, and it has just kept snowballing since about all the things that have come up that need to be fixed to the house. First, there was a plumbing leak. Then the plumbing leak turned into like a bunch of plumbing leaks.
Oh,
and
no.
They were changing out the electrical plates to a more fashionable antique brass, except they found that the whole house needed to be rewired.
See, this is why I'm afraid to,
Yeah. Then they had this little kind of like garage thing on the side of their house, and they're not those people, so they don't need it. They wanted an extra living space. So as they're going through this part, it's almost done. They start trying to go outside and making this patio. Well, then they discovered that their septic tank has a blockage. Well, then the blockage led to having to replace the whole septic system. And then they ripped up like a third of their yard having to do this. Thankfully,
I've seen this movie. It's called Money Pit, right?
Exactly, right?
Yeah.
So they don't have any kids. They're not even married. It's just the two of them. But still, it's just like one thing after the other. And that's what it's like living in an old house. It's just, but she's doing it all in real time, and she vlogs. And the kitchen, she got to one point, she's like, we're just hiring somebody to do the rest of this painting. I can't do it anymore. I can't do it. It's stressing me out. And the thought of having to do 3 more weeks of this is going to end me. So we're just hiring it out. We're hiring it out. We have the extra money in the budget. They probably don't need more. The kitchen turned out great. But yeah, she was totally honest about how they were going to hire somebody to finish painting everything and just come in and just do it because she was spent. I'm like, good on ya.
Yeah.
She was done. She has a full-time job that is very involved because she is her job. And it was just like, I don't blame you. I mean, she takes a long, I don't know why she takes so long to paint. She doesn't understand how people can be so quick with painting. I'm like, are you waiting 18 hours between quotes? I don't understand.
Maybe she is. Maybe she's following the directions per the letter.
Which you don't have to. Those are guidelines. But yeah, those are things I can follow because, and another one that I follow on YouTube, Paige from Farmhouse Vernacular, she also does it step by step. She's since had a child, so she's backed off on those sorts of things. Yeah. But up until she had the baby, they had done their kitchen, they had done their dining room, and then they went upstairs and made one big room into a office and kind of an ensuite and a little vestibule area. And it was as you go, and she'd give you updates on Instagram, and it took them 9 months to do their kitchen because they had to totally completely gut it. Wow. They had to redo the floors, replumb everything, and then because they're doing a sympathetic renovation, they put authentic 1900 beadboard up on the whole thing, hand scraped everything, painted like, oh yeah, he did the cabinetry, the whole 9 yards. It's an unfitted kitchen, but it works for them, like the pantry. Oh yeah, the whole 9 yards. But she loves it, but it was real time. And I appreciate things like, she doesn't say budget, which is totally fine. That's not the point. Yeah. But like it took her 9 months and it was just the two of them doing it. At one point in their dining room, they had to, because they're both engineers, so they both have degrees to do this. They actually jacked up the corner of their house, the two of them, and figured out how to pin it to make it more level because it had sunk in the one corner by like 2 inches or something, like more than that. It was a significant drop at the point that they needed to jack it up, but they did that in real time. And it was like, this is all the crap we have to do because we live in a 1900 house and gravity and, living in it and shifting. It happens. But yeah, those like, they show the before, they show the after, and it's just like, that's not, I mean, it looks great.
But still, yeah.
Still, it feels like, you feel like cheated a little because then you get all excited and then you're like, oh, I could totally do this. And then you start and you're like, I made a horrible mistake.
Yes.
It's awful.
So there's two guys going back to the one podcast I was talking about. It's called Make Something. Mm-hmm. Or no, it's Making It. That's it. Anyway, two of the three guys, all three of them will show stuff that when things go wrong. But the one guy in particular was talking about last week, maybe week before last, he's like, the video I'm putting up this week, he goes, he's like, the only reason I put up the video is just to show people that sometimes shit goes wrong. Yeah. He's like, he was basically he bought these like metal inserts, like metal for like a mug or something. And he was going to make basically a wood outer part to it and insert it. And then, so he'd have these wooden cups with like a metal insert, so they would work great. He broke, I can't remember how many tools, like his bandsaw, the blade on it broke. At one point he had mismeasured and he had the thing, he was trying to cut off just like a sliver on the bottom or something. And he had it done wrong. And as soon as it bit into that metal, that went that blade. And then he broke something else. There was something else that he broke as well. And he's just like, I'm not finishing it. He said, I've got 4 of them I was working on. He said, I'm actually going to send these out to my Patreons for them to finish or do something with. And then they're going to tell me what they've done with them. Yeah. And I'm going to show it on the video. He was like, but this broke me. Like this was several $100s in tools and, stuff that I had to fix and replace, whatever. And then the other guy I was just thinking about, it's not his main videos, but he's got this barn that he's kind of bought or whatever, and he's been renovating. And he bought I can't remember. It's this little Italian car he's always kind of loved. And he bought one. And they specifically him and his group have built a rotisserie for it. So that once they got it unbolted, they literally lift it up the body and can flip it around any way they need to get in to get all the rust and everything.
Yep.
Well, as he's doing all this stuff, he's like, so I went out to the barn this weekend and I started removing some rust. And I was like, all right, well, I need to cut out this part. And then I need to cut out this part. And he goes, after several hours, I got to looking, I was like, I don't know if I have anything that's still plumb. And he's seriously, like, the rest of the video is just him talking. He's like, I may have seriously fucked this up. Like, I may not be able to do this. Of course, the other guys are just like, you're right. You may have done that. It's entirely possible you may have done that. But you're also thinking too far ahead. And number two is, are you talking about trying to bring this thing, like, are you trying to completely restore this thing to pristine, or are you trying to make this really close and really good and make yourself happy with it? Because if that's the case, just fucking keep going.
Yeah.
So, yeah, but like he had a real come to Jesus meeting. He was just like, I may have fucked. He's like, I'm partially hurt because of what I've done. I wasn't thinking about it. He said, I was just excited and just kind of kept going. He goes, I don't know how I'm going to tell my wife that the car that I always wanted. I mean, I think he spent $5,000 on it or whatever. It's not like it's not like, something super. Karma Gia. That's what it is. It's Karma Gia. But yeah, he's just like, I may have screwed this up beyond the point that I can fix it. So, but the other guys were just telling him, they're just like, yeah, shit happens. So I like seeing when people, show that stuff and acknowledge it. And in fact, Adam Savage has even started talking, like, at the close of almost all of his videos. He's like, these videos that we make here on Tested are not so much how-to videos. They're more so what happened videos. That's his words. Mm-hmm. What happened. He's like, because sometimes it works out great. Sometimes not so much. So.
I appreciate the honesty, because then you get excited. You're like, okay, I'm inspired. I want to try that. And then you're like, they made it look so easy, and it was done in a flash, and logically it wasn't done that quick, but still. Yeah. And then you get into it and you're like, oh no, I've done something horrible, or this is taking us so long. What did we do wrong? Yeah. Or this is so expensive. So I appreciate when they just a because everybody's got different budgets. I watched this woman, her name's Sarah Beanie. She's also British, and her husband are well off, and they bought
not a little bit,
no, like a lot, but they bought they bought a manor, this huge manor in the UK, right before they got married, or right around the time they got married. They had all their kids there and everything like that, but it was derelict, and they've been slowly fixing it up over like a 19-year period, and then they sold it, and they sold it for a really great price. But then they rolled that money into this 200-acre property in the country. But what they're doing with it is they're reclaiming it. They're, planting a lot of restorative plants, and they're making a pond. And then they built this 5,000 square foot house. It was huge, but they also have a budget, right? Like, mm-hmm. even people who are well off. I mean, unless you're the Kardashians, where money means nothing. Most people have a budget, and so they were the project managers, they were the head decorators, they were in charge of a lot of stuff, and they did, a good chunk of the work themselves because it saved the money. And they had to salvage, and they reused all of their furniture from their old house to put into this new house. Their boys are all teenagers now, so slave labor. Here you go, kids. We're learning things, life lessons, right? Because you don't have to pay them. So, but they got a lot of shit for it because it was, it's unrelatable and nobody's got $400,000 to build a house. It's like, yeah, but most people aren't building a 5,000 square foot manor on a 200-acre lot in Somerset, England. That's not the point. The point is they have a budget, mm-hmm. and they're doing things, and they're showing you like, hey, it doesn't matter the budget. Here are some saving tips that you could use that work across the board.
Right. Yeah.
So budget, I appreciate budgets no matter how big they are. If some budgets are like, I would not have spent that amount of money.
Like at all.
That was a misstep. That's a lot of money on that. That's very ugly.
Well, that's why, like, Christy and I, we do like watching home renovation shows. And as much as she still likes hell, I don't know if she's even really been watching them recently, but like the Property Brothers, a lot of the houses they do are multi-million-dollar houses.
Yeah.
And that's interesting to some extent, but then you're like, but that's not really the budget I ever see, having or whatever. Some of the stuff they're like, oh yeah, we're doing all marble this or all, whatever. And so we started watching some other shows, and like even Fixer Upper, which is based in Waco, which is an hour north of me. The prices for everything up there have started going a lot higher. So it's like, oh yeah, we're building, we're renovating this house in Waco, and it's 1.5 million. I'm just like, in Waco, Texas, are you insane? Yeah. But yeah, they are. And so even that was just kind of a little much. And so like the one that we've actually kind of really stuck to is one called Hometown. And like a lot of the stuff they do is like they're like, all right, well, we're not only they're buying the house, but they're also renovating, a good portion of it. And the budget's $500,000. 100, like literally one guy was like $100,000. He's like, I have $100,000 to buy a house and do some renovations. Now, granted, it was a much smaller house and it was just him.
Yeah, but
I'm like, what do you do with $100,000? You can actually do a lot. Like I was really surprised. That was a really good episode. But they purposely do this. They go in there like, okay, these cabinets, they're old, but it's fine. We're going to strip them and repaint them. We'll put some change out the hardware. They'll be fine. Or if they do tear them out, a lot of times he's a woodworker. He's like, oh no, we're saving all this. And then a lot of times if it's an older house, he'll take something that was pulled out of it and make something new with it, which is also really cool because, they'll come in and be like, oh my God, that's a beautiful desk. He's like, yeah, I built this. This was made out of the doors that we pulled out of the house. So yeah, that's still kind of original to the house, that type of thing. And so Christy and I really like, that show in particular. So, but just I appreciate when people will show, well, yeah, I fucked this up or something went wrong or whatever, because a lot of times like you can get a lot of learning out of that. It's like, hey, don't do this.
Yeah.
This is why.
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah. So, because I mean, sometimes accidents happen. Sometimes it's an accident. Sometimes though, it's like, oh no, you don't want to do this. That is not the thing that you want to try.
You're throwing it out now.
Yeah.
So
yes, exactly. So, which is why it's partially taking me so long in the proton pack. It's killing me because I really want to get it done, but I'm just like, no, take your time. Make sure, because the last thing I want to do is paint something. Like when I was doing my ghost trap, everyone was like, well, instead of, if you want to kind of keep a certain sheen on certain things, use a lacquer to seal it instead of like the normal paint spray, because otherwise it'll kind of dull it. And I did. And the humidity was too high, and so it just
yep,
not frost. What's the term? Hazed. It just hazed over.
Yeah.
So got out there with a sander, had to pull it all off again. It's like, well, back to ground, back to zero on this. And I was just like, shit. But I didn't know that was the first time I ever used it. And I was like, I should have taken a spare piece of something, sprayed on it, and been like, oh no, that's not good. So
yeah.
Oops.
Always do test patches.
Yeah. Well, I'd even done a test patch of our stripper, and I'm like, okay, that worked really well. And then I did the first window trim, and I did not put enough on. I thought I had, clearly not. And as I'm stripping this off, I'm just like, I did nothing. They didn't do anything. I'm going to be stripping forever. I am going to be stripping this stupid trim forever. I hate my life. I want to set the house on fire. I can't do this. I can't do it.
So after she tries her second time, which worked a lot better. I got into helping her, and I did it, and I'm like, what the fuck? Like
he had a moment with me too about that.
Like, no, I'm done. Yeah. I will make new. I'll make new trim. We'll make new trim.
Let's pull this all off.
All this goes.
Not worth it.
It would be easier to cut down the tree. Gotcha. Yeah. No, I understand. Yeah.
Like we were trying. Now we're at the point where like, at least I am. I'm like, is it worth? Because we've spent a lot of money on stripper. Mm-hmm. Is it worth stripping these versus spending
cutting down the maple that's out front and making new shit out of maple?
And it is cheaper because the chunky wood trim we have would be really expensive. Yes. So it is,
especially because it's solid wood.
Yeah, but you stare at it sometimes. You're like,
Is it worth it?
Why am I doing this? Is this really what I want to be spending my time on? Is this the hill I want to die on?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, is this the hill I want to die on?
Why have I been so adamant about just this one specific thing?
Yeah.
But yeah, it's going to turn out and it'll look beautiful and I will be glad for it in the end. Just not there yet.
Yep. Yeah, that's one of those things that, they always, cosplayers are horrible about this, but they always tell each other this. Don't point out your faults, your problems, because no one else is going to notice it. And you're the only one that's going to notice it. But that's one of the questions I usually ask people is like, so how long did it take you? Because I want to know. I want to know.
Yeah.
I can appreciate it. It looks good. I can tell you did a good job on it, but I want to really appreciate it. How long did it take you?
Yeah.
How many hours? How many days? How many months have you been doing this? And I want to hear the struggles. I want to hear all this stuff because it does make me appreciate it even more then.
Yeah. So, and it makes you feel better about when you take on a project.
Yes, that too.
Yeah, it makes you feel a little bit more normal that you're like, okay, it took this person this long and they're like amazing at it. So me taking this long seems about equal.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Level. Yeah. Yeah.
So.
And more honesty, more transparency.
Don't lick me, dog.
With stuff like that. So
you're so sweet, Ray.
Oh, no. He's got personal boundary issues.
Yes.
Yes, we do.
Max does. Thank God Ruby doesn't. Or not Ruby. Thinking Ruby. Thank God Zilly doesn't. So.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's move on to our what we're planning on working on. I'll go first.
Okay.
Proton pack.
Yeah.
The end. I need, like I said, I'm hoping to get the rest of it taped off and get it painted because then I can start putting all the fiddly bits back on it and making it look good. And then I'll at least have a working proton pack. I can do the electronics on the side, get that, because I'm wanting to do it right. Not only am I wanting to try to rewire this stuff, I'm wanting to figure out how everything is, and I'm going to send off and have printed circuit boards come back so that instead of soldering all these damn wires, I can just solder on chips and plug stuff in. It'll be great. Especially like if I decide to do the same thing for like the boys' their Spirit proton packs, I'll be like, oh no, I've got the boards. All I gotta do is, just maybe buy a few chips. Good to go. And then I'm wanting to kind of redo my wand if I can get all this stuff. If I can get all this stuff done, to include the vibrating and everything, I'm just like, well, I might as well go for the solid gold. So the Hasbro one that I have up there has a mechanism that was in the movie. There's actually a space between basically the fire button and the rest of the body, and there's a little green kind of piece of metal, and you pull it back and it causes the tip of the wand to eject out. You specifically see it in the first movie when they've had it and they're about to go after Zool, and they do the whole grab your stick, make them hot, make it hard, and you see them pop the thing out, and there are means to do that, and they're well documented. And I'm just like, I might as well give it a shot. If I'm going, I might as well go for it because that would be friggin' awesome. So I haven't told the rest of my group that yet because that's kind of one of the holy grail type things. So I may try to do that. So proton pack. That's what I'm gonna be working on. That and trying to sell some more matrices to pay for this damn air conditioner. So, Ray, what are you working on?
Other than the kitchen and the floor, I'm going to really try and pick a day and set it on the calendar and be like, nope, this is my day. So I am going to shoot one more time for that. Third time's a charm.
All right. All right, but I'm writing kitchen and floor anyway. Chris, what are you working on?
I'd like to get the door painted, and I have to strip the hinges because they're good hinges. They just got painted, so I got to strip those. The door painted and have at least one of the frames in the pantry all stripped completely. Hopefully, that's what I'm shooting for.
Yeah, because I can't put a floor in there until that's done.
Yeah, I'm really hoping if the weather cooperates and I stop getting weather headaches because they just
that sucks.
Because it started yesterday. Because we've had a huge pressure system change. Hopefully the weather cooperates and I can do that, and my back cooperates.
Yeah, that's new.
Yeah, I would like to get that done. I do have some gardening projects that do need to get done too. Like I have to plant 3 shrubs, which won't take me long, but I got to do that.
That'll help your back.
No, it won't. I know it. And I do have to work on the compost pile, but I think I'll save that one till next month. That's next month's project. Yeah.
Gotcha.
The list could be long if I let myself go.
And you say I have issues with time management.
I didn't say I didn't. I totally do.
Oh no, she just has the plan to do them. Whether or not they get done, that's anyone's guess.
I don't know.
Yeah, it'll get done when it gets done, right?
It does. Yes.
Yeah. So. Well, all right. That is our show for the month, ladies and gentlemen. If you would, please give us a 5-star rating on iTunes, Google, Stitcher, wherever it is you listen to the show. You can find us at Epically Geeky, where you can also find the rest of the shows we do, including the Epically Geeky Show, the Marginally Geeky Show, and the Sustainably Geeky Show. You can find us on all the social media at Epically Geeky as well. Where can we find you online, Ray?
Watching the NHL playoffs, as well as trying to buy Twitter.
We're this close. Super
Gotcha.
close buying Twitter. Yeah.
Just 4 billion, right?
Whatever.
40 billion, 40 billion, whatever.
Chump change.
No, the Reluctant Yeti on Instagram.
Chris?
Moody Midlife on Instagram.
And you can follow my individual wacky adventure online at Optimus Gene on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. For everyone on the site, have a good night.